People are never going to understand how critical this particular time in history is. We have $7.7 trillion worth of economic events that are going to hit America in the gut.
This is An Economy of One with Gary Rathbun, President and CEO of Private Wealth Consultants, the free market voice.
Free market voice.
Of the U.S., enhancing and protecting private wealth. Gary Rathbun has over 30 years of experience in making the best choices for you to keep more of what you earn. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit of self-reliance. An Economy of One with Gary Rathbun.
This is our country.
Greetings and welcome again to An Economy of One. I am your host, Gary Rathbun. Fresh off the weekend with CPAC. Last weekend we spent a lot of time at CPAC. We broadcast a lot of stuff from there and had a great time. And in the week since I was at CPAC, I've had a lot of time to think about things and reflect on things. And of course, it always boils down to, for me anyway, liberty and American exceptionalism. And one of the more interesting people I met at CPAC, and you're going to laugh at this, I know, but one of the most interesting people I met was the guy that shined my shoes. Whenever I come across a more of a high-end hotel, there's always a guy that has a business of shining shoes and several chairs and that kind of stuff. And I always like those kind of shoe shines. There's just nothing like a real old world quality shoe shine. Stays with the shoes a long time. But anyway, I got to talking to the guy, and he's an immigrant. And it was fascinating because here I am at CPAC. There's conservatives everywhere. A lot of college kids all over the place. Many, many successful people. And here's an immigrant shining shoes. And he'd been in the country a long, long time. And he was what I would call the epitome of American success. Came to this country with nothing. I think he was from Ethiopia or something. Came here with nothing and started doing work and ended up being a shoe shine guy because that's a relatively low barrier to entry. And he was in Washington, D.C. And by the time he shined my shoes and talked to him, he owned roughly seven different shoe shine stands around Washington. He owns several coat check businesses in high-end hotels. I didn't realize the coat check aspect, the coat checking business, was separate from the hotel, but apparently it is. And he was shining shoes at that particular time when I was there. Loves his work, does great work. But he was just inspiring to hear about it. And I got to thinking about that and how easy it is for you and me to complain about this country. How easy it is, especially now during presidential primary election time. And given the last, I don't know, decade or so of Washington politics and how partisan they are, how much they want to damage the morale of this country by tearing us down from the inside. It just was refreshing and caused me to pause that here's a very lowly kind of job. I don't think I'd want to shine shoes for a living. And it's not something that, you know, when you have children and you talk about their future in America, I can remember as a kid being told that anybody in America can grow up to be president. It wasn't only till now that I figured out that was actually true. But nobody ever told me, you know, this is America. You could grow up to shine shoes. But yet, this was a real business, real cash flow. Just so you know, I know what you're thinking. Yeah. Shoe shine guy giving Rathbun a big story about owning a bunch of shoe shine stands and coat checks and stuff. Actually checked him out. And he was absolutely telling the truth. I don't know what his net worth was. Probably not extraordinarily wealthy. But the man married somebody here, had children, put his children through college. One of them is an attorney, and one of them is in the finance industry up in New York. The point I'm trying to make here is that America is an exceptional country. We are a great country. And like Warren Buffett said, in the last 240 years, it's been really bad mistake to bet against America. And the time is no different now. So I started doing a little bit more research. And just to tell you how exceptional America is, you know, with the presidential candidates out there and talking about socialism and spreading the wealth and free this and free that, free education, free healthcare, all this kind of stuff. They always put up Europe or pieces of Europe as the example. You know what? They're a democratic socialist country, and they're pretty good, pretty happy, and we should be like that too. Well, two of the strongest countries, or two of the countries perceived to be the strongest in the European Union, are Sweden and Germany. Well, if you take either of those countries, bring them over here so that they are a state in the United States, by far and away, they would be two of our absolute poorest states. Now, I did research on this and saw measurements on different metrics. So GDP per capita, they would be very, very poor states. Well, GDP is something that's not necessarily fully reliable in determining a country's or a state's wealth. So I switched the metric to median income per capita. And even then, Sweden and Germany pretty much at the bottom of the list compared to virtually all of our states. Now, our poorest states, probably, Mississippi and maybe Arkansas, somewhere in there. Southern states, very, very low income per capita. Still beats Sweden and Germany. And just about any metric that I looked at, now a lot of this research comes out of Mises organization, and just about any metric you look at, any of our states are better off right now than all of the countries individually in the European Union. So when these politicians, when these candidates are laying out there, hey, Sweden has terrific health care, they have terrific income equality and that kind of stuff, just remember that they're worse off than our poorest state. Talking to the gentleman who shined my shoes in Washington, D.C. last week reminded me of these thoughts. These people come to America. They have more ambition. They have more desire. How can you become rich, put kids through college, raise a family, all that kind of stuff, shining shoes in America and working hard. The trouble is that we have, over a couple of generations, ingrained in people that they are victims, that they are entitled to an equality of outcome, and that they don't have to work hard, nor should they work hard. The people who make a lot of money in this country obviously steal it from other people who don't make a lot of money in this country. You cannot make the poor rich by making the rich poor. Abraham Lincoln said, you want to help the poor? Do everything you can not to add to their numbers. This man that shines shoes in Washington, D.C., clearly to me was one of the most successful individuals that I had ever talked to. Yeah, he probably wasn't rich, probably didn't drive a Lamborghini, anything like that. But success? Yeah, he was successful. And as you know, success and money rarely have anything in common. Maybe he wasn't mega rich, but he was successful, and he was more successful than many of the people there at CPAC. Terrific example to me of American exceptionalism. Up next, you know, that agreement with Iran, sanctions on North Korea, all that stuff takes second place to what the U.S. is doing or what the FBI is doing right here in this country. We'll talk about that next.
An Economy of One with Gary Rathbun.